started just to
Sorry, I had to
confirm.
record. Sorry, John. Okay, here we
Oh,
go.
good. Just to confirm my time, how much time do I have?
Yes. We have until 3 year time, or you can be done sooner if you need to be.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
So I'll stay as long as you guys want me to stay. I do have uh, a 3 p.m. appointment, so my hard stop is probably about 10 till 3.
perfect.
All right, cool. So first of all, quick introduction. As Cari mentioned, my name is John Dietz. I got my real estate license in 2002 and actually didn't want anything to do with real estate. I got my license because my wife thought it would be a good idea. And I've learned the more I listen to her, the happier she is, the happier I am. And the one thing I did not want to do is work with buyers. And that was kind of how I looked at real estate. You know, I had this vision of being in your car, driving people around, showing homes, and nothing wrong with that. So if you love working with buyers, that's awesome. Keep doing that. Um, I didn't even know what a listing agent was, but did some research on it, learned what it was, and decided that's cool. I can do that. That'll be a lot of fun. Now, my business didn't really take off until I took the time to learn how to master my listing conversation. So, Cari, I think the first thing that I would say to this group is if you want to take more seller listings, then you have to master your listing presentation. It's kind of like any sport. If I went to a baseball game, for example, and the coach said, John, we're going to put you in the game, we're going to put you up to the plate, my answer would be, no, I'm definitely out on this. Nobody's throwing a ball at me 95 miles an hour. I'm not going to be able to hit that ball. I'm going to make a fool out of myself. But if I spend hours and hours and hours and hours of time in the batting cage learning how to hit that ball in order to master my craft as a baseball player, and I'm put me in, coach, I can't wait to get up to bat. I'm going to hit this out of the park. So master your listing presentation. You can find my listing presentation on my YouTube page. It's just John Dietz. You'll find me. And I teach my 14-point listing presentation on average about 4 times a year. And Cari, I'm sure you'll let everybody know next time I'm teaching that so they can be a part of that. Now, once you've mastered, hey, by the way, I love conversational meetings. So at any time, please just take yourself off mute and start talking to me. It's the interruption rule. Whoever interrupts rules. So I'll quit talking as soon as you start talking. Once you've mastered your listing presentation and you've got the confidence that you're going to knock it out of the park and you're on the phone making calls, you're going to be so much more confident in getting that appointment. Jessica, if I'm calling for sell by owners and I ask them, hey, by the way, if I could show you how I could sell you your home for more money and less time, would you be interested in seeing how I could do that? And they respond with, sure, come on over. If I don't know what I'm going to do when I get to their house, my first thought is, oh crap, now what? What do I do? Well, I guess I'll figure it out when I get there. But when you've mastered that listing presentation, now you're going to have the confidence in order to make those calls and schedule those appointments. All right, next, create a daily standard that you hold yourself accountable to. Focus on the activities, not the results. When you focus on results, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to be tempted to quit. It's kind of like deciding you're going to go on a diet and then jumping on the scale at the end of every day and saying, gee whiz, I'm not losing any weight. Maybe a week later, you actually gained a pound. You're like, screw it, this thing doesn't work. I'm going to stop. So focus on the activities, not the results. The activities in real estate are lead generation, marketing, prospecting, having real estate conversations. Now, you could prospect for sell by owners and expireds. You can circle prospects. You could go out and knock on doors, or you can work your database and build a business through repeat and referral business. And one of the questions that you're going to ask is, hey, by the way, who do you know that might be thinking of selling their home in the next 6 months? All right, now you're getting listing appointments. Prior to going on the appointment, it is your job to know the local market better than anybody else does. Be a local, please write this down. be a local economist of choice. And I'm going to slow down because this part's important. Cari, you know what I noticed? When I get on a call with you, I talk faster. Why do you think that is?
Oh, no.
Mirror and match, I'm guessing. Okay. So it's my job to know the local market better than anybody else does, to be the local economist of choice. I want to know days on market, how that number compares to 6 months ago, how it compares to a year ago. I want to know supply and demand. Based on the location, based on the price, how many months of inventory do we have? How many listings are currently available between 450 and 500,000 within a 2-mile radius of my subject property? How many are selling every 6 months and are sold in the last 6 months? And then divide that by 6, and now I know how many are selling every 30 days. That way I know if you have a 30-day supply of inventory, 60-day supply of inventory, or 6 months of inventory, because it's going to make a difference. I want to know average days on market for a listing that sold without a price reduction versus one that sold with a price reduction. I want to know what the average list price to sell price ratio is in my market. And I want to know, how does that compare to a year ago? How does that compare? What do those numbers look like for homes that have a price reduction versus those that don't have a price reduction? So for example, if you went back a year and a half ago when there was less than 30 days of inventory pretty much everywhere, most homes were selling very, very quickly for multiple offers with multiple offers. And the average list price to sell price ratio was probably somewhere around 105%. Now, I guarantee you, wherever you are, look in your local MLS today, that list price to sell price ratio is not 105%. It's probably somewhere around 94 to 95%. All right. But it's your job to know that. By the way, it's your job to always know that. If you're at a networking event and somebody asks you, how's the market? How do you answer that question? I'm looking for a brave soul to take themselves off mute and tell
Oh,
them.
yeah.
How do you answer
Angie.
that question?
In the past, when I was newer, I would just start talking and talking. And now with the market and everything, I just take a step back and I said, well, there's a lot going on. What makes you ask today?
Good answer. Good answer. Write it down. Write it down. By the way, Joanne Kelly's here. She's a rock star. Joanne's on Survival Drive with me every morning from 9 to 9:30. So I'm going to brag on Joanne for a moment. Angie, great answer. I love that. One of my responses to that question, how's the market, is it depends. It depends on where you live, what type of property you have, and what price range it is. We can have a seller's market and a buyer's market in the same zip code. It really just depends on, is it a townhome? Is it a condo on the beach? I was in the real estate business in South Florida for 7 years, so Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and we had single family homes that were less than 90 days of inventory. Then you went down to the beach and you had condos with a 3-year supply of inventory, literally a mile apart from one another. So the answer is, it depends. Then the follow-up to that, just like Angie, my next question is, are you thinking of selling? And I can show you what the market is like for your home, whether you're selling or not. All we need to do is schedule 30 minutes to get together, take a look at some comparables, look at supply and demand, and that'll give you an idea of what the market is like for your home. Another question to ask somebody, and to that question, another response is, how long have you lived in your home? And I'm looking for, what's their motivation? I know someone who's been in their home longer than 7 years is way more motivated to sell than somebody who's been in their home for 2 years. I also want to know, how much equity do they have in their home? And one of the questions that I'm going to ask them is, if you knew your home was worth more today than it would be for the next 5 years, what would you do? Okay, all right, so back to the listing, appointment. You got the appointment. What now? You've done your preparation, you've pulled your comparables, pull everything. Don't leave any stones unturned. If you only bring comparable properties with you, or you do a CMA only using comparable properties, they're gonna have a home that they're gonna bring up and they're gonna say, well, what about the property just down the street from us that sold a month ago? And you don't have it with you, you look unprepared. So bring everything with you, whether it's comparable or not. And you can just say, yeah, so that home was 1,000 square foot bigger. It's really not comparable, but bring everything with you. Now, when you show up at the front door, you have 3 questions that you need to answer. 3 questions they're asking themselves about you. Do you care about me? Can I trust you? Can you help me? And you're going to convey that you care about them, that they can trust you, and you know what you're doing. You can help them by doing a few simple things. All right, number 1, Kodak moment. When they open the door and you're greeting them at the door, that's your Kodak moment. You have 10 seconds to make a great first impression. Joanne opens the door. I take a few steps back after I knock on the door so that I'm not like right here when she opens the door. How do you like me so far? I don't leave. And it's simply, hey, Joanne, I'm John Dietz. We had an appointment at 4 p.m. It's 4 p.m. May I come in? That's it. Wait till you're invited in. If you walk into their home without being invited, that's called breaking and entering. And they're going to call the police on you. So don't do that. That was a joke. So it's 4 p.m. May I come in? Now, the moment you're in that front door, I'm going to look at their home and wow, I love your home. Super important. They love their home. I can't tell you, Angie, how many homeowners had told me, you know, John, so-and-so was out here and they didn't even like our home. Why would we hire them? My response was always, great question. I love your home. Hire me. So like their home. Wow, you have a beautiful home. I am super excited to be here. And I'm really looking forward to helping you sell your home.
John, quick question for you.
Yes.
You bring
Thank you. That's
gifts,
what I was looking for.
flowers, or anything like that?
Say that again.
Do you bring gifts like flowers or anything like that?
I never did, but that's my personality. I'm a high D. I don't really care. Um, so I think that where'd Cari go? Everybody moved on my screen. Oh, sure, camera went off. I think if you do, Jim, that's awesome. However, I might recommend you wait until after they hire you and you're friends now, because I think some personality types would not respond to that well. Okay. Cari, what is your thought on that? What did you do? Did you ever bring gifts with you? No.
No, I never did. I agree with you. Like some people might like it. And then there's other people that I think would be really turned off and be like, okay, you're trying to buy me or something, you know? And so I never went that way. Although the only exception to that rule would be if I had had enough conversation with them up front and maybe they were a referral and I knew about their story or something. And it was so specific that I felt comfortable bringing something that might make them feel warm and fuzzy. Like one time I had a referral of somebody and it was their neighbor's mom and she became a widow and she was needing, and like they weren't talking to anybody else. And they're like, you have to work with Cari. And I brought her something, but that was just because I knew everything about the situation and it was appropriate. And she thought it was really nice.
Yeah.
You know what I did do, John, is oftentimes I'd have marketing done in advance and I'd say, okay, so if we're ready to listen, I just want you to know, I know that time is of the essence. And so I just took the liberty to go ahead and create all of these marketing materials, and like, they were already like, holy cow, like, and there might be some changes, but you know, do you see any edits here? What would we do? Sometimes just the fact that they saw I put so much effort prior to coming to a meeting would just make them sign.
Love that. Cari's also using embedded commands, neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. One of the things I said to Jim when I walked in the door was, I'm super excited to be here and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to help you sell your home. Sell your home is an embedded command, by the way. So you have to say it with a downswing. If you say it with an upswing, it's a question. When you say it with a downswing, it's a demand. Now, we want to meet at the kitchen table. And this is important. You're probably thinking, gee whiz, really? You're going to talk about where to meet? I could have figured that out. You won't. If you don't tell them where you're going to meet, they're going to tell you. And you don't want to end up in the living room sitting on a couch with them across the room on another couch. It's just impossible. So, Cari, what I'm going to ask you to do first is to give me a tour of your home. However, I'd like to set my things down at the kitchen table if that's okay. All right, that's all you got to do. That lets them know that's where you're going to meet once you're done with your tour. Always have a notebook and a pen with you. Ask them to take you on a tour. Ask them to go with you. Don't tour their home by yourselves. Now, I know there's real estate coaches out there that teach you to do this, and I'm telling you the opposite. I want you to take them with you because it's going to give you an opportunity to connect, which is super important in order for them to hire you. Angie, you got to think of it a little bit like if you and I were playing tennis, I'm on one side of the net, you're on the other side of the net. We're competing with one another. And everybody moved. I had to find Angie. And what I want to do in that, as we're touring the home, is I want to get over on the other side of the net. So now that you and I are on the same side of the net and we're playing doubles against whoever's on the other side of the net, we connected. Really important. Now, also important, connecting is not, oh, what a beautiful dog. You like dogs. I like dogs. Dogs, dogs, dogs. That's not connecting either. Connecting is conversation. So Angie, as we're touring your home, if you would, please point out all of the updates you've made in the last couple years. Tell me why you love your home. And the reason I'm asking you that is what I have found is the next buyer is going to buy your home for the same reasons you love your home. Now, if you could do one more thing for me, point out what updates you would make next if you weren't selling. Let me touch on that one for a moment because this is one of the mistakes a lot of real estate agents make. They walk through the house and they start staging the home. All right. They walk into a room. It's got purple wallpaper and pink carpet. And they walk in and they're like, purple wallpaper, what the heck were you thinking? Pink carpet, this has got to go. That's got to go. And to that homeowner, all they're hearing is you don't like their home.
Mm-hmm.
Really important. Now, by asking them, tell me what you would update next. Now they're walking into that same room and they're like, oh gosh, this room, our daughter was in this room before she left for college and this is her, not us. We're so embarrassed. This is what we would change next. All right, now they said it, not you. Now, if they ask you, would you take the wallpaper down and the paint? Or what do you think about replacing the wallpaper and paint? My response is, I would. Shortest script I've ever taught, I would.
Mm-hmm.
What about the carpet? If we were thinking about replacing this carpet, I would. All right, standing in the kitchen. We were thinking about gutting the kitchen and remodeling. The answer is not, I would. The answer is let's look at the comparables, talk about your goals, and then let's talk about what we should do about the kitchen then.
John, I had a question.
Yeah.
Do you ever lead them, like if it's the purple and the pink or the this and the that, like what would you do to update it to make it more neutral for buyers coming through and kind of like lead them that something needs to be done, we need to make it neutral, or just kind of keep it to what open-ended, what would you do?
Yeah, good question. So after you hire me, Angie, I'm going to walk through the home with you. We're going to do, I'll give you staging suggestions, advice on things you can do to be more competitive against other homes that are also for sale right now. And Angie, my answer on that is think like a buyer. What would a buyer look for? If this were new construction and this were a model home, what would it look like if it were a model home? And yeah, neutrals are better. But what do you like most about buying a new car? You love the smell. So how do you create that new car smell in real estate? Paint and carpet.
Mm.
And those things are cheap. You could, Angie, I could put new carpet in that room and I can paint the walls for next to nothing. Now, why do people not replace the wallpaper? Because it's a complete pain. It takes a lot of work. Anybody ever take down wallpaper before? Keep your hand up if you love doing it,
Mm-mm.
right? I had a seller who, Beth, I had this seller who I told when we took their listing, this wallpaper in the kitchen, we need to take a look at taking that down and painting the kitchen. This was after they hired me. They never give advice like this until they hire me. All right. Now, their response was, we don't want to. I'm like, okay, no worries. 30 days later, why haven't we got any offers? Wallpaper. 60 days later, same thing, wallpaper. 90 days later, same thing. And I finally asked him, I said, why don't you want to take the wallpaper down and paint? I knew the answer. The answer was because it's hard. It takes time. It's just a complete pain. I don't want to do that. I said, that's exactly the conversation a buyer is having with themselves when they look at your home. Week later, they took the wallpaper down, painted, and it sold in less than 2 weeks, full price. It matters. All right, so you're on that walkthrough, you're taking notes, you're asking questions, you like their home, you end up at the kitchen table. Start the conversation. Starting the conversation always begins with, I'm just going to give you a list of words to write down. Gratitude, write that word down. Underneath gratitudes, write down the word expectations. Underneath expectations, write down needs analysis. Next, write down prioritize needs. Next, write down trial close. The next word I want you to write down is satisfy their needs. The next word I want you to write down is pricing strategy. And then the last word is close. There's your listing outline, one word at a time. Now, what I would recommend you do, and Joanne can tell you this is exactly what I teach on Survive to Thrive every day. And I tell them, write down those words. And then I tell them, when you go into the listing presentation, have a blank, have a notebook in front of you with just those words in front of you as a reminder what you're talking about. In other words, what comes next. So let's see. I'm going to pick somebody I haven't spoken to yet. I'm only picking people on camera, by the way. Lonnie, it's so good to see you. I miss you, my friend.
Hi, glad to see you as well.
So, Lonnie, thank you for this opportunity to meet with you today. It is always a privilege and an honor to discuss the possibility of the Dietz team representing them in the sale of their home. That's gratitude, guys. You want to keep it short? Thank you so much for this opportunity, Lonnie. I'm grateful to be here. Now, the next word is expectations. So I'd like to start by sharing my mission statement with you. My mission is to meet your goals and exceed your expectations. Now, because of that mission statement, whenever I meet with a potential seller, one of three things typically happens. One of those three things will happen today. Either one, they understand and appreciate the benefits that I have to offer and they hire me, which is awesome. Or they don't hire me, and quite honestly, that's not so awesome. And then the third thing that happens occasionally is I may choose not to take their listing. Now, at that point, I want you to pause. I want you to pause, Angie, because I want you to give them an opportunity to come back to you and ask you, why wouldn't you take my listing? Now, if they don't ask, just keep going. So you may be wondering why I would choose not to take your listing, Lonnie. And here's the reason I think you're going to really like the answer. You see, if I feel that a seller has a goal or an expectation that cannot be met or exceeded, I'm slowing it down so you can hear it. It's not how I'm saying it at the kitchen table. What I want you to hear is I didn't say, if I feel a seller has a goal or an expectation that I cannot meet or exceed, I don't want you to say that, because all that's telling them, if you can't do it, somebody else can. I want you to say, if they have a goal or an expectation that cannot be met or exceeded, I would rather turn the opportunity down today than let you down 6 months from now. Now, I'm going to teach you how to throw your competition under the bus. If you know they're meeting with other real estate agents, follow up with this. You see, because I know you're meeting with other agents, you're going to meet with somebody who really needs to list your home. And because they need to list your home, they're going to tell you anything you want to hear. Now, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, Jim, but I don't need to list your house. I'm going to let it pause just for a moment, just for effect. Now, I really want to earn the opportunity, and that's why I'm here. But you see, if I needed to list your home, I'd tell you anything you wanted to hear just to put a sign in your front yard. Now, if I feel that you have a goal or an expectation that cannot be met or exceeded, I would rather turn the opportunity down than let you down. Now, here's what's going to happen, guys. They're going to have a meeting with another agent after you, and that agent's going to start telling them things that they know are not true. And they're gonna remember you telling them that they're going to meet with somebody who's willing to tell them anything they want to hear. And they're immediately turned off to that agent. Can I trust you? Do you care about me? Can you help me? Well, if I'm lying to you to get your business, can you trust me? If I'm giving you a price that's higher than anybody else has given you, can you trust me? Do I care about you? Well, no. The only reason I'm there is to get a listing so I can get a paycheck. By the way, even if the home doesn't sell, I still get a paycheck, because buyers are going to call off that sign. We're going to convert those calls to buyers. Those buyers are going to buy another home, just not yours. And all that agent is doing is using your home for free marketing. Now, Beth, do you want to hire an agent like that? Yeah, there you go. All right, I'm going to take a break because you guys should have a question at this point or something. Not to put anybody on the spot. Joanne.
Oh my gosh, Joanne, lots of things that we talked about today are getting answered. Joanne and I had our meeting this morning. We talked a lot about this, and I know she's been in your program, so a lot of things you're talking about, I think, are going to be really helpful to her. So that's awesome. And Joanne, I bet you have access to his listing presentation because you're in his coaching program, so you should grab that.
Yes, and it's something that I need to practice. I need to practice the listing presentation over and over and over again. It's getting the scripts down, because everything else can fall into place, and I don't have to say it the same way, but I have to get comfortable in the conversation. That's what Cari and I were talking today.
Practice. But confidence, like when you truly just believe in your heart that you are going out there and you believe that you're going to service people in the best way possible, and that, you don't have to get every listing because there will be another listing appointment. If you can truly resolve to that in your heart, when you go and say that and you really mean it, it changes your confidence level. It changes your attitude, and people and your energy, and people see that. And even when I wasn't super confident, like the top listing agent, one of the things I would say, John, differently, I wish I would have had you as a coach back then, but I would say things like, they want their price to be higher. And I came in with a price. And then the first thing I would do is I would second guess myself. Did I not price it correctly? Like in my mind, I'm like, I'm not that experienced. Maybe I should have listed it higher. Oh no, what do I do? Because I would always be wavering in my confidence. But eventually what I started to do is realize that, first of all, nobody has a crystal ball and nobody's going to have the perfect price, so I needed to stop beating myself up about that. But a great thing that I would say is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I really appreciate the fact that you think your home is worth more. I wish your home was worth more too. I actually make more money if your home sells for more. But in reality, I want to be as honest with you, and I want to provide you the information that I'm gathering and I'm interpreting from the market, because after all, I only interpret the data. I don't create it. I don't dictate the market. I just am here to tell you what it is. And I'd rather tell you the truth and not get the listing than tell you something you want to hear and have you have a poor experience. My reputation is too important for that. And so it was kind of what John said, which is if you don't want to work with me, that's okay, because my reputation is more important than listing your home overpriced and having you have a bad experience. And so, you know, use the words that make sense for your personality, but what we're saying is kind of the same thing here. So Angie.
Yes, I had a question about, being an agent. I know, John, you're huge production and some agents aren't, but what do you say to the agents that have a lot of production about going in and overselling themselves, or like kind of like when you go up against other teams or other agents that do a lot of business, and you do a medium size, but I guess agents that go in and say how good they are and how much business they do. I mean, what is your feelings on where's the line on how much to boast about yourself or your business, and make it more about you and less about them?
Great question, Angie. So I'm going to, there's a handful of answers to that question, by the way. So first of all, I am going to either have a pre-listing presentation that I send to them in advance, or I email to them in advance so that they can read, they can see, they can watch videos, they can learn everything they need to know about me, my resume, and what I'm doing to sell homes. That way, when I show up on the appointment, I can focus on them and their goals versus telling them how wonderful I am. So I really don't talk about my resume at all when I'm on a listing presentation. Now, if I'm an agent and I'm competing against someone who does a lot more business than me, let's say I'm competing against a team. So my position on this is, if you hire a big team, and I know they're meeting with a bigger team, they told me, and I'm never going to talk bad about the competition. I'm just going to proactively handle this objection. And I'm going to say, if you're meeting with a large team, they've got an amazing resume. They're selling a lot of homes. They may even be the local neighborhood expert. However, here's the challenge. When you're working with a larger team, they're selling 10, 12, 15 homes every month. They're winning whether your home sells or not. Here's the other challenge with that. When you're working with a larger team, you're probably going to meet with your listing agent 2 times. Once at your kitchen table and then again at the closing table. And between the initial meeting and closing, you're going to get handed off to half a dozen other people. Where if you were to hire me, I am the only real estate agent who's going to communicate with you during the entire process of selling your home. Here's the other thing. If I were you, I would rather hire someone who's working hard to become the neighborhood expert versus someone who's already the neighborhood expert. You see, if you were to hire me, your home would be the only property I have in your neighborhood. And the only way that I win is if we sell your home. But if you hire that other agent who's doing more business than I am, they may have 4, 5, 6 listings in your neighborhood. Quite honestly, they're more motivated to sell the one that's been on the market 30 days than they are yours that's been on the market for a week. They might even use your home to sell that other property. For example, they might show your home and then say, now let's go see what you can get for the same amount of money. It's even nicer. Now, do you want to hire someone like that? Make sure you ask questions like that. These are chess moves, okay? Because when you ask a question like that, they can't say, yes, I want to hire somebody like that. The only answer that they can say is, no, I don't. Well, then am I the right agent for the job? Yeah, I guess you are. So funny story, I was teaching this class at the Keller Williams office in Clearwater long time ago, Cari. And the Dietz team was my wife and I's team. We had 3 buyer agents and admin. We were a big team. This is back when teams were still a real hot thing. They're not so much. I hope I didn't say the wrong thing there. And I was teaching this class, and I was teaching in the class, here's what I would do if I were competing with me. If I were any of you and I were competing against me, this is what I would do. And there was this agent in the room, her name was Barbara. And sure enough, they met with Barbara, they met with me, they met with 3 other agents. And when I called them after the listing presentation, they said, we're going to go with Barbara. I'm like, really? Is it okay if I ask why? And they told me exactly word for word what I had taught her to say to them. So she used my strategy to beat me, and it worked. How many homes have you sold? None. That's exactly why you should hire me. How long have you been in the business? Less than a year. And that's exactly why you should hire me. You see, if I were to sell my home and I could hire somebody that's been doing this for 20 years and they're probably bored with the process, or I could hire somebody who's brand new, enthusiastic, and looking to build a big real estate business, I'd rather hire that new agent who's enthusiastic and excited about building a real estate business. Angie, that was a long answer to your question, but hopefully I gave you what you were looking for.
No, it's great. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, let's go through the needs analysis. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not so great and 10 being awesome, what needs to happen in the sale of your home that would cause you to consider the experience a 10? Now listen to what they say. The most common answers are price and time. So when you hear get my price, I want you to respond with, tell me what that looks like to you. Now, they may not know, and that's okay. But if they give you a price, then at least you know what they're thinking. All right. Now, if they're out of their mind with their price, okay. So Cari, they say 600,000. And you know there ain't a chance this home's selling for more than 525. You don't stop and say, what? Are you kidding? No, this is a needs analysis. We're just asking questions. We're Columbo. We're an investigator. What would getting $600,000 for your home do for you? Why is that important? Pay attention. Go deep on the answers that you're getting, because the real goals are never up here at the surface. They're always down here. You can't snorkel to get goals. You have to scuba dive. So go deep. They're down here. If it's time, ask them, what does that look? I need to sell my home quickly. What does that look like? 30 days. Do you want to be at the closing table in 30 days, or do you want to have a contract in 30 days? Ask them, because it might be at the closing table. Why is that important to you? What would that do for you? Pay attention to their answers and go deep. Now, prioritizing their needs. I'm giving the very abbreviated version of this, everybody. Prioritizing their needs is, if we can meet one of these goals and miss the other 2, what's number 1? All 3 are important. I understand. And when you have an offer, you're going to have to make a decision based on which goal is number 1. In other words, if you have to choose between time and price, which one's more important? It's better to know it now than try to figure it out later on. Now, once you've prioritized their needs, the next step is trial close. And the trial close is simply, if I were able to show you that I'm the right agent for the job in order to achieve these goals, and I'm pointing to my notebook where I've written down all their goals, okay? If I were able to show you that I'm the right agent for the job in order to achieve these goals, are you ready to hire me today? Now, Jessica, they respond, yes. Awesome. Let's get started. Beth, they respond, no. Awesome. Let's get started. What I know is, are they ready? Yes, they're ready. Cool. It's mine to get. Now, if they say no, they'll typically tell you we have other appointments, or we're sleeping on it, we're praying on it, or whatever it is. And that's cool, but at least you know. All right, I'm going to skip all the way to the end just for time. Close. Are you ready to get started? That's it. That's the only close you need. Now, if they say yes, start filling out the paperwork. If they say no, the follow-up question is, so on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being you don't like anything I said and you can't wait for me to leave, and 10 being I'm the right agent for the job, where are we? Now, you're probably going to hear 7, 8, or 9. If you hear a number lower than 7, just pack up your things and leave because you're done. And when you hear 8, your next question is, what would it take to make it a 10? Now, whatever the answer to that question is, that's your objection to overcome. So let's say, for example, your commission's too high. All right, fair enough. Other than my commission, is there anything else stopping you from hiring me today? Isolate the objection. Now, I prefer to turn this into a close. In other words, if I were willing to discount my commission, would you hire me today? Yes. Cool. So here's what I'm hearing. When somebody asks me if I'll lower my fee, I'm hearing, how good of a negotiator are you? Now, the good news for you is I'm a really good negotiator. You see, if I were willing to give away my money that I use to support my family that quickly, how quickly would I give away your money when we have an offer on your home? Now, if you're asking me if my fee is negotiable, the answer is yes, just not today. When we have an offer on your home, if I need to give up money in order to make the deal work, I will, because I'm a deal maker, not a deal breaker. Go back and close again. So, are you ready to get started? All right, I've got 2:48, which means I have 2 minutes before I have to jump. Any last questions?
So I'm new to EXP. Do you in fact share your scripts or your listing presentation?
100%.
Awesome.
Yes. So email Coach John Dietz at gmail.com. And ask me, please remind me to send you an updated version of Rainmaker Playbook.
Thank you,
So
sir.
one of the books that I wrote is Rainmaker. Somewhere here. Where is that book? Okay. So there, Rainmaker. You can find this on Amazon, but I'm not trying to sell books. I don't make money on these. I lost money on this. And it's a lead generation book. Rainmaker Scripts is a living document where I'm updating scripts daily. So just send me an email and I'll send you a copy of Rainmaker Scripts.
Thank you very much.
Sure. My pleasure. Cari, I think that's a wrap.
Perfect timing so that you can get to your next appointment. You guys, as always, and John does find John on Workplace or Work Chat if you want, or email him. He does have a couple of programs going that you could join every day if you want, or is it every week? What is it? John?
Monday through Friday.
I thought it was, and then all of a sudden I second guessed and went, wait, it's not every day, is it?
Yes. Monday through Friday, Survive to Thrive.
Yes.
Runs from 9 to 9:30 a.m. That is a group coaching. That is a group that I coach. There is a cost for that. It's $100. $100 a month, I think. I don't even know.
Joanne says, yeah, that's what it is. Okay, perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Just email me for information on joining that group, and I'll be more than glad to send you more information.
Perfect.
So I also do one-on-one coaching if anybody's looking for a coach, but
yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And John comes in and brings us value for free like this quite a bit and gives away his information if you want to kind of teach yourself. But that morning, I mean, Joanne has learned so much. Joanne is a partner of mine. And I just said, you know, if you want to get better at listings for $100 a month, you can't almost find anything for $100 a month anymore. And so she's gotten so much value. So we do highly recommend that. And John's doing that because he realized there's a lot of people he could help here within EXP and within our spheres, and to do it affordably is just really a blessing. So awesome, you guys. I'll put John's email. I put it in the chat. I'll put it out on the live stream. You guys will be able to find this on YouTube if you want to share it with somebody outside of EXP as well. John, thanks for being here. Have a great next appointment. You guys, see you next Wednesday.
Thanks,
Bye,
John.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.